Hi, it's Nikki here from Happy Hormones for Life. And today I am talking about something that many of us women over 40 struggle with. Now I'm over 50, I'm definitely struggling with this a little bit more. And that is weight loss resistance. And it's something you're going to know about if you're struggling to shift the pounds. You may be doing everything right. You may be eating all the right foods, healthy diet, exercising, doing all of that. But you feel like sometimes just looking at a biscuit makes you gain weight. I know. I'm with you. I've been there. There are multiple reasons the body can hang on to fat stores and make it almost impossible to move the scales, and especially after 40, for us women particularly. So I'm going to run through some of the causes, the main common factors behind what I call weight loss resistance, because it's not simply calories in, calories out. We've talked about this before. Diet is one of the main factors though, but I come across so many women who are doing the right things, they're eating the right things, they're having a healthy lifestyle. So I just wanted to touch on some of the things that may not be as obvious in your diet. So I want you to be ruling them out just to make sure that they're not having an impact on your weight loss. So the first is hidden sugar and carbs. So it's not just sugar we need to be cutting back on. I know you're probably avoiding that already because you know that that's bad. But carbohydrates in general are basically, they're just long sugars. So we need to be looking at what kind of carbs we're eating. So we want to be looking at the complex carbs that break down a lot slower. Things like, the vegetables are complex carbs. Fruit does contain quite a bit of sugar, so just limiting that a little bit. Because that is still sugar, even though it's natural and comes with other things. I know that, but it still does the job sugar does in the body. Alcohol, obviously sugar content, and checking the labels of, some of your favorite sauces, dressings, ready meals, protein bars, or other healthy kind of snacks. If you look at the sugar content, sometimes it's way more than you would expect for something that's marketed as healthy. So for instance, when I talk about refined carbs and things like bread and pasta, particularly bread, a baguette has a higher glycemic load than white table sugar because it's got more glucose in it. So it basically breaks down quicker than sugar. So when you're eating bread like that, it is literally like eating sugar. So sometimes we don't appreciate the kind of nature of that kind of food. The second thing about your diet is I want to talk about is food intolerances. So when your gut reacts to foods that you might be sensitive to, so things like gluten or dairy, which can be inflammatory for some people, it can trigger this cascade of an inflammatory response in the body. And we know that inflammation can lead to bloating, water retention, and increased fat stores. So again, the amount of women I've seen, when they give up something that they're slightly intolerant to, the body just releases a little bit of fat. So that can be a weight loss resistor. Snacking is the next one. Now, I've talked about this before, but if you're eating between meals, the body is constantly using up the sugar stores as energy and doesn't always get around to burning your fat stores because it's got plenty of supply of food coming in. So leaving 4 to 6 hours between meals, or adopting this time restricted eating thing, which is a part of intermittent fasting, which is like a window when you eat in a window of between 8 and 12 hours, can really help the body burn those fat stores for energy. So it gives the body time to get around to burning fat rather than just the sugar that you're eating. The next one is eating too much of the right things. So of course, we know what's healthy and we might be eating all the healthy things, but sometimes we're just realizing we're not realizing that we're eating too much of the healthy stuff. So, classic for me would be a jar of nut butter. I'll convince myself that, nut butter is healthy, it's full of nutrients. Yeah, but, you don't really need to eat the whole jar. So that's really not going to help. Things like that. Emotional eating is the next one. This is a biggie for us women, particularly because we're more likely to reach for food when we're sad, we're stressed, we're lonely, or just bored. So increasing awareness of why we're eating can help work out what to do instead. And the last one in the diet section is calorie restriction. Now, most diets are based on calorie restriction. We know that all that happens when you reduce calories is that the body goes into stress mode because it thinks there's a famine going on. It slows down your metabolism and it speeds up your cravings. And that is not a sustainable way to keep the pounds off in most cases, right? So we've done diet. What's the next big weight loss resistor? It is hormones, obviously. We're going to talk about hormones because hormones are chemical messengers that regulate your appetite, your metabolism, your blood sugar, and your weight. So any imbalance here can upset that whole cascade of things that control your weight and your energy and your mood and cause weight loss resistance. So I'm going to just run through the feisty 4 hormones that I talk about a lot and their impact on weight and weight gain resistance in particular, or weight loss resistance in particular. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and it's your response to anything the brain thinks is a threat. That includes your workload, your kids playing up, that argument with your partner, the homeschooling, and the myriad of other stresses life is throwing at us right now. The trouble is that cortisol likes to store fat around your belly when you're in survival mode because it thinks it needs it there for emergencies. So any kind of stress and cortisol imbalance can literally stop your weight loss in its tracks, especially around that belly area. Insulin is the next one. It's your blood sugar hormone. It's also your fat storing hormone. Its actual job is to store excess sugar away in your fat cells. So if there's too much insulin running around your body, guess what? You'll be in fat storing mode, and that is virtually impossible to lose weight. Thyroid is the next one. That's the one that regulates your metabolism. So if that's not optimal, you won't be burning any fat at all. You'll be storing it. And if your thyroid is low or medically normal in some cases, your metabolism is going to be slow, and it's just going to be really difficult. So estrogen and progesterone are your sex hormones. Obviously, they're going to fluctuate and decline through perimenopause and menopause. And when this happens, you normally produce estrogen through your ovaries, but when your ovaries start to kind of shut down, alternative sources of estrogen start to come into play. And one of them is fat cells. So when your body is like going through menopause and it's not got enough estrogen, it will hang on to your fat stores to produce that enough estrogen. So sometimes, that's a real weight loss resistance, and it's possibly why a lot of women put on weight during menopause. So you want to be balancing your hormones is the end result of that. The next section of weight loss resistance is lifestyle. So under here we've got stress, we've talked about already. If you're in survival mode, your body's going to be hanging on to fat for dear life, and it's one of the most common factors behind weight loss resistance. Sleep is another one. So lack of sleep increases hunger hormones, ghrelin in particular, as well as making you really irritable and tired and groggy the next day. And that's going to push up your cravings because you're going to be reaching for quick sugar foods to get your energy levels up. Exercise is the next one. Sitting all day slows down your metabolism, turns off your fat burning signals to the body. But also over-exercising can actually be another cause of weight loss resistance, ironically, because doing too much when you're not in the right state can raise cortisol too much, and that signals again the body to hang on to fat, which is why so many of us try a new exercise program, or we go flat out and do it in our classes and at the gym or on the bikes or whatever, and we don't shift a pound, and that's possibly why. Now the next big section of weight loss resistance is your environment. Did you know that many common chemicals in our environment have been labelled obesogens because of their ability to hang on to fat stores and mess with our metabolism? So there are a couple of things that are the main reasons that this happens. One is toxins can affect your mitochondria. Now your mitochondria are your little batteries in your cells that make energy and keep your metabolism going. So when they're not working properly, we know what's going to happen. Toxins also can impair the way insulin works, so that can make you more prone to storing more fat, and they can also mess with your thyroid hormones as well, so that will make everything go slow and sluggish, so that'll make it super hard to lose weight. The next section of weight loss resistance is your gut. Now, the more we find out about your gut, our gut health, the more we see links to all kinds of different health issues, and in this case, weight gain. So as well as the influence that inflammation has on your weight, we also have our microbiome. The different microbes that live in our gut have a huge role to play in really determining how many calories we end up taking from food. So another reason that we need to be optimizing our gut health. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about genetics. Your genes are involved in the regulation of energy, expenditure, appetite, and fat metabolism, and they all play a really big role in weight regulation, which means you could be predisposed to putting on weight easily through your genes. Bummer, but you can override your genes by making sure you're eating right, you're exercising smarter, you're minimizing the toxins, you're feeding your microbiome, you're sleeping well, you're balancing your hormones, and you're managing your stress. If you're doing all that, you've got a fighting chance of losing that weight. Now, if you're doing all of that already and not getting results, you may have to dig a bit deeper to find your particular weight loss resistance. I've talked about all different areas of the body that can cause it. So you may, it'll be different for you than for somebody else. So you may have to just dig a bit deeper. We run a series of health tests that can help rule out some of those main factors. So first of all, we look at your adrenals. So we're looking at whether your stress hormones are having an impact on that. And we do it over a 24-hour period, so it's really accurate. We can look at your sex hormones, so we can see your levels and behavior of all your estrogens, your 3 of them, your progesterone and your testosterone. And this can tell us whether your hormones are out of balance and contributing to that. Thyroid hormones we test in the blood. Standard medical testing doesn't include your active T3 hormone or your antibodies, which can show up as hidden autoimmune conditions. So we look for the full thyroid panel, and we're looking for optimal, so that your metabolism is as best as it can be, rather than just normal sitting down at the bottom. Not medically a problem, but your metabolism is going to be slower than it should. Gut health, we look at obviously for any digestive issues or suspected autoimmune conditions, but doing stool tests can also uncover any imbalances in your microbiome, and seeing which bacteria are maybe causing different aspects of your metabolism, regulation, or energy expenditure, or weight. And then nutrients, really important as well. You need certain nutrients to keep your metabolism strong. So vitamin D, your B vitamins, iron and magnesium are some of the key ones that we check to make sure that they're all in the right range, so that they're not having an impact. And then lastly, DNA. Genetic testing has come such a long way. Identifying your own unique gene mutations can help you work out what kind of diet and lifestyle modifications you need to best control your weight as well. So do contact us if you want any more information on all our testing and our one-to-one support. But I hope that was useful, and I hope that will get you through these weight loss resistance if you're struggling with that. I'll see you next time.